Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll say that. I'll drink. Of course. Gotta keep lubricated. Uh,
Wow.
Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Contumacious,
Freya.
and today we are going to be talking about and doing another episode of Cracked Quacks. They're not specifically. Well, there's a couple of doctors who are mental in this, but it's not. It's just weird medical things that I've found.
Like medical problems.
No, not like that one. That one didn't perform well at all. That was terrible. We won't be doing that one again.
You know what it is? Ever since you did that episode, right? It's like my phone was listening to me the entire time because now it keeps bringing up that like Dr. Pimple Popper videos and like squeezing blackheads, and I'm just like, what? It's not what I really want to look at all.
Yeah,
I know some people find it really satisfying, but not me. Nope, nope, nope. But
yeah, I don't mind it. It's not something I'd go out my way to watch. But yeah, okay, fair enough. You really disagrees with you that.
hmm.
So we've got another three cases of some crazy people who maybe shouldn't be in the medical profession, really. So the first one isn't an actual doctor. This is something that happened to the guy, and we're gonna preface this by saying like, fuck Putin, just putting it out there.
Irrelevant to the discussion right now, just putting it up there.
Well, no, but this is about a Russian gentleman, and
Oh,
not
okay.
not all Russians are horrible. It's just Putin and his fucking cabal that are just horrible. So we'll move on from that very quickly. But this is about Artem Sidorikin, and in 2009, Artem had a little bit of a cough and he had chest pains, and it progressed worse and worse, and he started coughing up blood. Now, obviously, he was in a bad state, so he went to the doctors, and the doctors went, "Oh, well, this could be, you know, that C word." I don't think they were calling him cunt, but you never know. Uh,
I actually thought you were gonna say like that T word, like
oh no, they thought it was cancer.
I instant see. Do you know what it is, right? If I'd had that and I was coughing up blood, I would straight away go, "Oh my god, I think I've got TB." Right? If I then went to the doctors and went, "I think I've got TB," they'd be like, "No, no, no, you are overreacting, girl. You got cancer." That would be worse for me. I would be like, "That's worse."
So, I mean, yeah, apparently they were that worried that they rushed him straight into surgery. So, I mean, say what you want about Russia, but it seems like their NHS is up to scratch.
Yeah.
Uh, so they did X-rays for him, and they did actually find a dark part on his lung, and so they rushed him into surgery, gave him a biopsy, and they found that there was a mini pine tree growing in his lung.
What?
So there's Artyom, and there is the actual pine tree that was growing. Now, this is the least graphic visual I have of it. I mean, you can Google it at your own risk, but he actually had I think it was like I mean, that big, so about 6 inches of a pine tree growing in his lung.
Okay, firstly, that little mini pine tree is fucking adorable. Secondly, how does that even happen?
So, what they actually thought was that I never found out his job, but they believed that he inhaled a seed while he was out and about, and in the actual this is another one. You've got this straight away. They believed he inhaled a seed, and in the warm, wet and dank conditions that are in your lungs, it could actually grow. Well, it did actually grow, and the reason why he was coughing up blood is because the pine needles were puncturing his capillaries within his lungs. So he was bleeding internally from it.
So you know that thing that you used to get told, like when you were in like primary school, don't eat an apple seed because an apple will grow in your stomach. That's like partly true.
It is kind of true,
but less worse than the truth. Because an apple tree growing in your stomach would be a lot less worse than a pine tree growing in your lungs.
Yeah, at least, I mean, in your stomach, you can get it out. I mean, it's going to take a lot of pushing, but, I mean, you could move
the whole tree.
You could move that log, I tell you.
Oh my god. So, you know when I say outside is overrated and highly dangerous?
It's just another reason why.
They're always trying to get us to go to be one with nature and stuff. Talk about being one with nature. Jesus Christ, that's taken it to a whole new level.
He was too one with nature, really, and I don't think it gave him any zen or anything like that.
I mean, okay, so say if he'd just gone, I've got cancer, I'll just deal with it, and didn't go to the doctors. Would it be like something out of Alien? Like this tree would have kept growing till it burst out of his chest? Or would it have just... would he have been like a human pincushion that was just like little blood, like a blood sprinkler?
Quite possibly. I mean, he could have been either or. The problem is with pine trees, they're evergreens, so he would have never have. They would have never dropped the leaves, would they? But you could have put him in the corner at Christmas, I suppose. So swings and roundabouts, really. Yeah. Just put some tinsel like, round you.
Kind of dismembered, like.
Just.
Yeah. No. Oh no. Oh.
Yeah.
Also, how do you inhale a pine seed? Surely, I mean, how big are pine seeds? Have we looked? How big are pine seeds?
I mean, how big are seeds? Well, I mean, seeds are now... people eat seeds for breakfast nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to turn into a sunflower, but I'm Googling this. I want to know what pine seed is.
Good. Oh, jeez. I really hope there's a porn star called Pine Seed now. Fucking hell, wow.
I mean... yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Probably could, like...
yeah.
Probably could inhale one of those, you know?
Yeah.
But... I mean, you would feel it go down your throat, you know, like when you swallow a fly or something, you kind of go... even if it's only a little one.
Yeah, but then maybe he thought he was swallowing a fly, and then if he hiccups at that precise point, or like a little bit of water goes down the wrong way, you know, maybe he had a little bit of a cough and thought nothing of it.
God,
moved on.
That's traumatic. Like, I'm just, every time I go out in the forest now, I'm going to wear my mask.
Indeed, you should keep safe and
full
get
respirator.
Well, yeah. Jesus, yeah.
I'm going to go full Darth Vader whenever I go hiking.
Maybe not that bad, but yeah.
I never go hiking.
I know, but I didn't want to say anything. Just let the viewers believe that illusion. It's coming from the person that got halfway up a hill and went, I'm fucking off to the pub. Yeah. Don't blame you.
Why not? What was waiting for me at the top? Because it sure as shit wasn't a pint.
There was not a bar up there. So, the second story now, this is about a particular doctor, and he is Dr. Walter Freeman. And just going to preference this one, with everyone involved in this is a horrible person. So, this isn't really a nice story. But Dr. Walter Freeman is the worst kind of human being ever, and that is a picture of him.
He looks like every evil doctor in every single asylum horror movie ever.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he should have been in the Nazi one we did, really. And he may have some roots there. I mean, he probably doesn't, but we'll see. So, just a little bit of backstory on this. The Swiss physician Gottlieb Burckhardt was removing parts of the brain to try and cure his patients of mental health issues. So that's the road we're going down with this one. So as early as 1891 in a paper, he did write that his patients were calmer after his surgeries, but some suffered complications.
Well, they were calmer, they were vegetabilized.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely euphemism, isn't it, as well, to be using that. Some were left with sensory aphasia, which is the ability to understand speech, writing, or tactile symbols. So that is a lot calmer, really. They just sit in the corner. Do now.
Wow, so they can just go square, grab it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, good. I mean, good for them. Yeah, progress. That's progress.
Yeah, at least they're not like crazy anymore. That's alright, isn't it?
What a douchebag.
Yeah. So Antonio Egas Moniz is credited with inventing the first lobotomy, and he actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for this.
How can you? You know what? I can't. I'm not even going to say the irony.
Yeah. I mean, some people did later on in history, people did try and have this Peace Prize taken, the Nobel Prize taken away from him because of all the damage that this surgery has caused, but it never really came to anything. But the lobotomy was the go-to operation to try and calm down someone that was a little bit hyper. Now, if you don't know what a lobotomy is,
don't Google it for the love of God.
Yeah, it's rank. I mean, and if you're a bit squeamish, just skip on for a couple of minutes, because it's basically a hammer and something akin to an ice pick is used to hammer either through the nose or the eyes into the frontal cortex to remove the bad bits of the brain. And this was actually done for the majority of the time without giving the patient anesthesia.
I thought when that guy's eyes were wide open and they weren't being held open, then I was like, oh god. They haven't even put him to sleep, have they?
No.
Yeah,
So,
God.
unfortunately, now, so that is something that was going on around this time. And so now enter stage right Rosemary Kennedy of that Kennedy fame. So she was the eldest sister of John F. Kennedy, who was the president of the United States, something or other. And she literally had it tough before she was even born. When her mother went into birth, the doctor was unavailable, and the nurse gave her the sage advice of keeping her legs closed. Now, This actually is not good advice because it cuts off the oxygen that gets to the actual child. And the baby was stuck in the birth canal for 2 hours. Yeah. So, as you can imagine, Rosemary was born with some issues that result from having no oxygen when you're being born.
Because some dumbass midwife bitch told her mum, keep your legs closed and that'll keep the baby right in there till you're ready, till we're ready.
Yeah, and the doctor was
It's here.
in, where was he? At the pub, on the golf course? Who knows? And
was he the only doctor in the country at the time?
But this is it as well. I mean, the Kennedys were pretty... They were famous, infamous, or whatever, at the time. So surely the doctor should have been on call when the wife was going into surgery. They'd already had, I think, 2 other children by this point. So, and Joe was... He was a diplomat at this point in time anyway. So, who knows?
Yeah, like, if I was, like, giving birth, right? And I'm screaming, I'm in so much pain, I'm like, give me pain relief now. And the midwife's like, no. You don't need pain relief. I've got a better idea. Squeeze your legs, thighs together, knees together. Just imagine you're doing yoga, but you're squeezing everything in tight. Baby won't come out, because the doctor's not quite ready yet.
Yeah.
Lunch break, 1 till 2. It's only 1:30, and by law, he has to have his lunch break, so... You're gonna have to give it another half an hour. I'd be like, bitch, get me another fucking doctor now, because this baby is coming out, or I am pushing it out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't just go, yeah, I'll just...
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of the most super Kegel you could do.
It really is. Waste of your power. Never happen.
Yeah, I do.
That baby will stay in there forever. In case if you change your mind... When the time comes to giving birth, you're like, actually, I didn't think it was a good idea.
I'll just osmosis it back into my body.
I mean, was Mrs. Kennedy not a bit... Was she a bit slow, though? Because what possessed her to think... She's already had 2 kids. What possessed her to think that this was even a thing? She's already had 2 kids to know... Midwife. Bitch, that is not how it works. This baby is coming out.
Yeah, I think we'll find out as the story progresses how inept all of these people were in this story. That's why I kind of said everybody. And everybody apart from Rosemary in this is a... Yeah. So, she suffered from... Well, she suffered with education and she struggled to read and write, but because Joe Kennedy is a massive twat, no one outside the family knew of her struggles, and even her brothers and sisters didn't really know what had gone on with her. And she was even educated separately. She had 2 nuns and a private tutor. She went to a kind of reform school, but she was separated outside of the class, so no one could find out this big bad secret that she was a little bit slow. Now, Rosemary had outbursts, obviously due to frustration that she wasn't getting along. She didn't know what was happening to her. No one was talking to her, and the more she had outbursts, the more she was kind of punished for it. And Joe Kennedy didn't want this reflecting badly on him or on his family's ascent into power. Now, in 1938, when Rosemary was presented to King George and Queen Elizabeth, and that's a picture from when she was presented to King George and Queen Elizabeth.
I bet they would have taken her in.
Exactly. She's so bonny and so cute, and she looks so full of life. She'd been made to practice a curtsy for hours, like literal hours before this. And while she did it in front of the king and the queen mother, she tripped, but they pretended not to notice, and no one in the crowd reacted to it. Like, not like today, where they'd be like, "Ah, you wanker." No, it was all, no one noticed. Everyone turned a blind eye to it.
If the king and queen say it didn't happen for everybody else in the room.
Exactly. But obviously Joe noticed, and he didn't appreciate it. Now,
Who died and made him king?
well, he was a dickhead, wasn't he? Anyway.
Was it the king or the queen?
Well, yeah, and he's in our country, and he should act by our rules. That sounds a little bit right-wing now. That sounds a little bit Nigel Farage. I didn't mean that in that way.
I mean,
but
if that's what Nigel Farage would say, I'm with Nigel on this one, because if you're in our country and the king and queen are nice enough to go, you tried, you did your best, and that is amazing by us, and everybody, whoever fucking laughs, there's still a rule for execution, you know.
Yeah.
Huh? There's some rules we haven't abolished. It's on the safe side, so anyone fucking laughs. You, sniggering in the back.
Yeah. And the king and queen can't be tried for murder. They they can kill anyone they want. So.
But it would have been well deserved.
It would have. I agree 100%.
Laugh at people that are trying their best.
No. And then, so 2 years later, apparently Rosemary started to act out. She became increasingly irritable and difficult, according to another dickhead in the family, which was her sister. And she would fly into violent rages. Now, after she was sent to a convent school, she was caught sneaking out at night.
Good for her.
I know. She was just being a teenager, and
in a convent school, how much fun is there going to be on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, but the nuns kind of thought she was looking for a bit of strange, and Joe thought this behaviour may embarrass the family and it may derail whatever political ambitions that he had in the future for him and his family. So he booked her in with Dr. Walter Freeman. Now, just to jump ahead a little bit, 4 decades after this, so in the late 60s, early 70s, Freeman had personally performed as many as 4,000 lobotomy surgeries in 23 states, of which 2,500 he used his ice pick procedure. Now, this was despite the fact that he actually had no formal surgical training.
But he was a great mountain climber.
So this is it. He knew where to put an ice pick. He could give him a block of ice. Ooh, he'd have he'd have your old fashioned. Ooh, it'd be so cold. So much ice in that.
Should have seen the ice statues he used to carve at weddings for external gigs. I've seen a dolphin like it.
Now, he charged $25 for his surgeries. Now that's cheap, even back then.
You reckon?
And for me, I prefer him to be charging 4,000. You know, like just an exorbitant amount of money.
Mm.
So people who had an annoying fucking aunt couldn't just go, we'll just have a whip round, get $25, and she can be just quiet in the corner, can't she? Really?
It's not very good PR either. He sounds like some bloke in the pub that'll do it for now. Do you know what I mean?
But the thing is, at this point in time, like between like 1940 and today I suppose, mental health issues were unknown. So someone came along with this miracle cure that they'd stop acting out. Granted, you've got to wipe the bum every day, but they're not going to be embarrassing you at the supermarket or in church. Everyone
only
kind of jumps on it.
$25.
Exactly, and it's like a snake oil salesman that went round the Midwest.
Box for that nowadays.
That's the thing as well. Yeah.
Brain surgery back then.
So, boom, and then you know what? And even then, you can just put them in the poorhouse because they were free, and you could just go, you know what? You take care of it now. Don't need to do it. So I think people were more interested in a quick fix. But I do want to say the good news, but it's probably not. But in 1967, he was banned. Dr. Freeman was banned from doing lobotomies because after a woman that he performed a lobotomy on 3 times died.
You reckon? Was there any of her brain left?
Yeah, I think that being the final straw is that's a huge fucking camel. You know what I mean? If that's the final straw to break its back, it's like, what the fuck?
And I thought when you said that there was a good ending, like a happy ending. Well, not a happy ending, you know, a good ending. I thought you were gonna say like Rosemary was in the hospital and she made like, this elaborate plan with the rest of the patients, and they all got out. They overran the staff and they lobotomized all of the staff, and then they had a massive party and drank everything in the wine cellar. That would have been a happy ending.
Yeah, I really wish. I mean, he legally got stopped. Like, well, legally, they told him he couldn't do it. He still had a medical practice after 1967. Had one up to the 80s, I think. But when Freeman went to work on Rosemary, it's not a happy story. So, according to Dr. James Watts, who was there as Freeman's assistant, he said, "We went through the top of her head. I think she was awake. She had a mild tranquilizer. I made a surgical incision in the brain through the skull. It was near the front. It was on both sides. We just made a small incision, no more than an inch. We put an instrument inside, and as Dr. Watts cut, Freeman asked Rosemary some questions. He asked her to recite the Lord's Prayer. He asked her to sing God Bless America, and then he asked her to count backwards. We made an estimate on how far to cut based on how she responded."
It's trial and bloody erroring on somebody's brain.
Yeah, and then when Rosemary became incoherent, we stopped. You've gone a bit far there, haven't you? Like, oh fuck that one. Yeah.
It's not a doctor. That's a bad carpenter.
Yeah, it's not good. It's interesting to note that after the surgery, Dr. Watts, who has provided all these quotes, voiced the opinion that Rosemary suffered from depression rather than a brain injury. So fuck him.
Suffer from depression afterwards, wouldn't she?
Yeah. So he was like, "Do you know what, Dr. Freeman? I don't think she needed that. I didn't want to speak up before, but now she can't hear me or do anything. I'm going to say it. Depression." Like, fuck off. You should... But
What
anyway.
happened to her?
So, after everything that happened, she was incoherent and she was committed to a psychiatric hospital, and Joe claimed that she was mentally, and this is the parlance at the time, it's not me saying it, but he claimed she was mentally retarded, just so friends and family wouldn't ask about her.
She had a fucking thing stuck in her brain and swizzled around.
Yeah. So she was reduced to the age of a 6-year-old mentally. She couldn't read or write, and she had to be taken care of for 24 hours a day. Now, all the things that you think Joe Kennedy is horrible for. He was a bootlegger when Prohibition was going on. He sided with Kaiser Wilhelm during the First World War. He fucking wanted Russia to be part of the world government. All them things you can say he's a horrible fucking person. But it wasn't 20 years later until he had a stroke that the Kennedy family found out what had actually happened to Rosemary. he never fucking told them that she had a lobotomy.
I mean, to be fair, they didn't treat her the best in the first instance.
Exactly.
But I mean, like, I hope they fucking wrote him off. Deal with your stroke on your own, you bastard.
Yeah. And even so, like, Bobby Kennedy and Jack Kennedy, it's like, oh, I'm sure I used to have a sister. I've not seen her for fucking 20 years. And Joe's excuse every time was, oh, well, she's a bit... so she's become a recluse. And they all went, that's fine. Even her fucking mother went, that's fine.
Wow.
They're just all scumbags. Every single Kennedy. I don't give a shit about the flack I'm going to get from Americans about this, but...
Wow, that
every
is as crooked
single...
as a spiral staircase.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It wasn't until 1987 that this was actually made public. So, there's a whole nother generation of fucking Kennedys that have died by this point. Never mind. Not even Jack. John Kennedy Jr. was fucking dead by this point. That it was made public. And...
which is really interesting, you know, because if you think about it, if you look at it on the flip side, and you think, say if they had known about it, and JFK hadn't really made a point of, he'd be like, oh, you know, she's my sister, but she's a bit slow. We don't talk about Rosemary. Like that song from Encanto. And then everybody would have been like, well, I'm voting for you, scumbag. And then he wouldn't have been voted in as president, and then he wouldn't have been assassinated. Then what would be happening in the world right now?
Could have been different timelines.
Totally different timeline.
Exactly. Yeah. Parallel universe, this could be happening. So, yeah. So, it's just a horrible story. Rosemary died in 2006, and she outlived them all. She died at the age of 86.
Good for her.
I mean, it's just
not much of a life for her, bless her, but
exactly.
Nice laugh, quite
exactly. She outlived John, Bobby, Joe, and Rosalie, her mother, and most of the cousins and fucking sons, to be quite frank, because that curse runs deep. And they wonder why they're fucking cursed. They deserve it.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit bleak. But we're going to try and bring up the tone now. I don't know about bring up the tone. Bring up the mood. So, yeah, we're going to talk about vibration therapy. And Dr. John Kellogg is kind of responsible for this. So when you're eating your cereal tomorrow, people, just remember this.
This is supposed to work, though, isn't it?
It did the way they did it. I'll be honest with you. Okay. So in the 18 and 1900s, the Industrial Revolution happened, as we all know, and this led to electronic devices being invented. Now, the sewing machine was the first electronic home device. The vibrator was the fifth.
Hey, you see?
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Women were always at the heart of it.
Definitely.
Everybody says we weren't thought of, and we were the last people in the food chain. It's not completely true. We had vibrators.
Yep, indeed, and they were used medicinally. So
medicinal vibrator. I've never thought about using
it gets better. So in 1869, George Taylor, an American physician, patented one of the first medical vibrators, and he called it, it's a fucking Alton Towers ride, this, he called it the manipulator. And
I swear to God, Ann Summers need to get in on this.
He probably did. So it was actually coal powered. So to be a fly on the wall in that doctor's office.
The whole walls are covered in black, and it's like, why is it so sooty in here? Well, funny you mention. Lie down on the bed and I'll show you.
There with his shovel as you walk in. Another one! Here we go. So literally the victim, the woman, sat on a padded table with a hole cut out. Like a massage table, but the hole was further down the table. They had their bits on show. And then a vibrating spear would massage her where she was exposed.
I don't even think this could be possibly remotely thought of as medicinal. This is a fucking pervy guy. So
it was said to to cure hysteria in women.
Create more like.
Because some of the best medical minds, bear in mind they're all men, decided that if your wife's a bit grumpy, I mean, just send her around my house. I'll sort her out. Like,
this is one of these guys that just went, oh god, I just don't get enough action. I'm addicted to porn. I like seeing girls with clothes on. Like, hold on. What if I was a gynecologist? People go, come to me.
Yeah. So this is one of the... it's not the coal-powered one, obviously, but it's one of the first medical handheld... It
looks like a sander?
Yeah. Fucking hell, I'd do me fucking skirting boards with that.
The holes
I'm not a doctor. I mean...
I think if you asked a doctor now, they probably wouldn't have a clue what you were on about.
I don't know. But, so, they used it. Now I'm going to come out with some medical terms. I don't really know what they mean. So, they used these vibrators for clitoral stimulation. Never heard of that myself. But...
Why am I not surprised?
If the female patient became flushed and relieved during the treatment, then the physicians explained that she was experiencing a hysterical paroxysm, which is now known as anorgasm. I don't know what that means either. But apparently, after that, as soon as she got flushed and she was, her hysteria was cured.
I mean, if it was me, I would be hysterical every day down that doctor's office.
Now,
unless he was rancid.
Now it's quite funny you should say that, because in the early 1880s, Martin Mcgranville invented the first portable battery-powered vibrator that you could just carry around. I mean, it was £40, which is 18 kilograms. So I don't know how he's carried it around. Fucking two servants are carrying that, aren't they? But Granville only intended it to treat men for their muscle fatigue, because some women could be faking their hysteria just to have a go at it.
Yeah. Wait, what does he fucking expect?
So it's like, yeah, did you not see that coming?
Quite literally.
But obviously,
don't make something that's going to give us an orgasm and expect us not to want it. Please don't think that.
Yeah, they didn't think that was possible.
They didn't think that far ahead.
No. Now,
idiots.
Yeah, I kind of really wanted to shoehorn Dr. John Kellogg into this, but he never used vibrators. He did use vibration therapy. He was a very stalwart religious man, and I think he believed that women could never be happy. But he did...
Wouldn't be wrong.
Well, yeah, true that. True that. This is my fucking hero. But he ran a sanatorium, which was like a hotel, not like a mental sanatorium. But
right.
So it had like spa treatments and stuff there, And he actually used vibration therapy. So he did think that putting vibrations through your body could cure, like sitting on the washing machine can cure a bad day. Apparently. I've never done that.
You'd be surprised.
He did actually use a shaking chair. So he had this shaking chair used, which you'd sit in it, and it would shake up to 60 times a second. Yeah. Do you know what he treated with it? Constipation. Literally, no shit. Like, if you're in a...
So, you went in with constipation and you came out with hand and arm vibration.
I mean,
vibration white finger.
It was just everywhere. I mean, you just sat in this chair and it shook for 60 times a second. And that cured your constipation.
As it would, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a warning that if you were pregnant, you shouldn't use that.
Give birth that way.
Yeah, like you need that warning.
But the baby's inside going...
Okay, just come flying out across the room. Like, they had fucking catchers ready. But Dr. John Kellogg was against onanism. He didn't like people touching themselves, and he believed it led to memory loss, impaired vision, and poor digestion, which he punished them with the fucking shaking chair. I mean, he was that much against self-pleasure that he did have a few ideas of how to treat it. And at his facility, if you had a problem child that was just doing it too much, you could take them in, and he would either tie their hands, put their bits in a cage so they couldn't tuck it, or he'd circumcise them without anaesthetic.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Oof. Never touch it again, would you? Mm-hmm. So he didn't use the handheld vibrator, but he did fuck everything else up. And this is actually a vibration for an advert, excuse me, for one of the first home vibrators that you could take home.
She just looks just so like on top of life, doesn't she?
Floating on air, isn't she? Jesus. Jesus. Exactly. So
still got it there.
Yeah, never seen a woman like that ever. So
bring the manipulator back.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hell. Just go and get a bag of coal.
I'm gonna go on Amazon now.
Gonna start it up, love. You stay there. Oh, I need some kindling. Fucking hell. Need to start this fight. Oh, I tell you what, in 4 hours, ooh, you'll be on top of the world, love. Need a chimney. Live in a one bedroom. How am I going to do this?
I love it.
Yeah, so I didn't actually want to believe that. I heard of vibration therapy, but I didn't think that they actually...
I didn't... My knowledge didn't include that, to be honest. It was literally like vibration in the form of... I think it was like noise vibration, like frequencies and things like that. Literally, that was the last thing that I thought of when you said vibration.
Yeah, but I mean, fair play to the pioneer of this, because he must have actually found a clitoris back in the 1800s and went, fuck me, she's calm now. Guys,
first
get on this.
Man in existence.
Yeah, I bet he was the first one going, send your wife round to me. Yes. Here we go. Yeah, oh, she a bit grumpy. Send her around here. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. Just... The first fucking pimp. Like, gigolo. Not even a pimp. He was like, give me a tenner. Sort her out. She'll be quiet for a couple of days. Then send her back.
It's either give me a tenner and I'll sort her out, or give the other guy 25 quid and get her lobotomized. Your choice, really.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, she'll still be able to cook your tea after I've dealt with her. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. There you go.
Oh, I fucking love it.
There you go. That's feminism for you.
They should
Yeah.
have put that on the poster. She'll still be able to cook your tea afterwards.
Fucking hell. Yeah, so literally on that bombshell for all them women. I mean, well done to you. This has been the MO podcast, and this has been another episode of Quacks. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and comment. Helps the algorithm, as always. But until next time, I've been Consummation Sam.
I've been a Treya.
Is your chair vibrating there? Is that why you did?
I just can't stop thinking about it. It's so great.
Next week's episode's going to be interesting.
I'm handing a sick note in tomorrow. Vibrational therapy soz can't come in today.
Oh, doctor! I'm here! Yeah, definitely on that bombshell. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast.